Hello, people. Am I audible to all of you? Can you all hear me? Hello, hello. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So, people, I will start with the session. Um, the idea today, I wanted to just give a basic introduction of what exactly WAT is and what things you should keep in mind. I don't know if there is any rule book which can make you a good writer, but I believe that practicing and keeping an eye on some of the fundamental things, these two things are very important. Only then you would be able to do well in that. So, you can have a PPT and you can keep on talking about things, but it is better to talk with demonstration. That's the reason why I use the word illustration of a good essay, because people write on the same topic, different people will write in a different way, different style, different content, but there are certain essays which appeal to you logically and which are convincing, and there are certain essays which are very bland, they don't have any appeal. So the impression that the essay creates overall is always different for different students. But we can, in the coming days, follow certain principles of writing, and based on that we can try to improve our essay writing skills. Because the one thing that Kiran Joshi sir, who took the session last time, said that it is quite possible that if you go for a face-to-face interview, they might ask you to write an essay, and then they will ask you, and the interview begins with the analysis of the article that you have written. It could be an essay, it could be a case study, it could be anything. So the impression that you create by writing your essay is, in fact, the first impression. And if that impression is not up to the mark, it might not be good for the rest of the interview. So it is very important that groom or hone your writing skills, and practice indeed will help you achieve a certain degree of betterment, if not perfection. So uh, there are a few things that I would like to highlight here. That when you start writing your essay, that is the first thing is very important, and that is uh, stick to the topic. This is the problem with many people. I mean, I am putting this thing first because this is what has come to my mind. Stick to the topic. If the topic tells you that you have to talk about X, then you have to stick to the topic. If you digress from the topic, then you're not answering the question that I had asked. No matter how well you write, you will not get marks for that. So this is one of the most fundamental things, that whenever you are writing, please ensure that whatever points you gather, you stick to that, and that point is very much relevant to the topic of the essay that is given to you. Okay, so it happens many a time that when someone asks you to write an essay on social media, it's such a broad topic. You can write whatever you want because the topic itself is broad. But then a, a good essay will have will cover social media in a very generalized way. It will also have different aspects of social media, and there would be a sense of completeness to it. So please don't ever digress from the topic. Very important. है ना? The second thing is, have proper structure. I mean, you cannot just start writing immediately the moment you get the essay. Please understand that when you get a topic, you gather all the points that come to your mind and then you start writing on it. Because there is something called as thinking, and the other thing is execution. These two are two different aspects of writing. Thinking and execution cannot go on simultaneously unless you are writing something and you have a good amount of time to write, because too much of editing will be required if you're writing and thinking at the same time. So thinking and execution means writing. So either you do all the thinking first and then you do the writing, or you think and write at the same time. Now, the problem is when you think and write at the same time, you will have to keep on canceling, writing, editing, improving. And that gives a very ugly picture to the essay, because you have been given around 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And within 20 minutes and 30 minutes, you have to finish the entire essay. And the expected length is about 300 words. Let's say 300 words. So within 20, 30 minutes, you have to write 300 words and you have to finish the task given to you. The problem with this kind of scenario is that you have a deadline. So you cannot infinitely improve your essay indefinitely. Okay. So the best way to go ahead with this kind of pattern is that if you have a 30 minutes given to you, you give 5 minutes to thinking. So I will give 5 minutes to thinking. What do I mean by thinking? Suppose the topic given to me is the importance and contribution of literature and arts to society as compared to science. So when I have 5 minutes with me, I think, okay, what is the purpose of literature and what is the purpose of art? I will think about it. Literature and art, what is the need of them? How are they different from science? I know it's a very, very difficult topic, but some of you will start thinking, Arey, what points can I gather? What is literature? What is art? You will say, okay, literature and art are basically imaginative arts. They are creative arts, correct? Science is not a creative art. It might have elements of creativity, but literature and arts are imaginative and creative arts. So they must have something to do with human beings' imagination, entertainment, spiritual upliftment. All these are the things that are possible through imaginative art and literature. That means if science contributes in the area of logic and rationality and making our life better, literature and arts might contribute in making our spiritual life, our creative life better. So I have got to a point where I know that this is one fundamental difference between science and literature and art. So this is the point that I might take one paragraph to express. The second thing is, okay, how, in what way they contribute? In what way they contribute? They make us laugh, they make us cry, they make us love. They deal with the emotional aspects of our life, maybe the irrational aspects of our life. So these are the points that you can gather under the title of literature and art, because science does not make you laugh, it does not make you cry, it does not make you love. So literature and art make lots of things possible, which science cannot. So when I am writing something, I know that this is a tough topic for me. I cannot write 100 points in a span of 30 minutes. If I try to do that, I would end up writing an incomplete essay. So the third point that is very important here is completeness. Because I have asked you to write only 300 words. You can take it to 400 if possible. But within 400 words, you should express the entire story. You should talk about how literature and art contributes. How does it contribute in comparison to science? What are the things it contributes? Whether it is good, very good, bad, or not. And then you conclude the essay. So in 400 words, you have to present the entire picture. It's like it's like making a short movie of 20 minutes. You can make a movie of 3 hours. You can make a movie of 30 minutes as well. Both can be equally interesting. So the challenge here is that the amount of time and the number of words, because the time is decided and the number of words are defined, completeness becomes a very, very important aspect. And the problem is that if you think too much and keep on accumulating the points, when will you get the time to write? Or when will you get the time to execute? You will realize that by the time you have jotted down all the points, 15-20 minutes have already elapsed and you have only 10 minutes left with you. So you would end up writing an incomplete essay. So the thinking and the amount of time you give to thinking should be well defined. That means if I am given this topic, I would give 5 minutes to think. I will jot down all the points possible, whatever comes to my head. Keep on noting them down. Point number one, point number two, point number three, point number four, point number five, six. Okay, 5 minutes gone. Now 5 minutes have gone. All these five, six, 7 points I'm going to put in the right order in my essay. So I start writing. And while writing, these are the points that I will cover while writing, so that I don't have to think all the time while writing. Because if thinking happens, you will get a point here. After you have gone ahead, one more point will come to your mind. So you will delete the entire thing. Again, you will write. This happens with me because I often write a lot. So the first thing is stick to the topic. While you are thinking of the points, don't digress. answer the question, correct? Have proper structure. What do I mean by structure? If you say that literature and arts to society is compared to science, so what is the structure? Okay, the first paragraph is introduction. Science is one of the dominant aspects of you know of this of human study. Literature and art also play a role. Their roles are different because science contributes to technology, to building our lives better, to making human beings rational. But art and literature don't have the same contribution. Their contribution is more towards the creative side, towards the imaginative arts. So, on the one hand, where science makes us think rationally, literature and art appeals to the irrational aspects of our mind. Full stop. Then you go to the next paragraph. Literature and art contribute in these things, and then you talk a bit about how you can give a few examples. For example, you can give the example of Da Vinci, you can give example of Michelangelo, you can give example of movies, you can give example of great novels and how they have helped you become a better person, right? So you can say that literature and art contribute in a more spiritual way, maybe in a more in a they are more uplifting to the soul and to the mind rather than to the logic of the human mind. And then towards the end, you might conclude. Because the topic is very tough, the people who are giving the essay, they know that it is very difficult to put very good points. If you have given two or three very, very good points, you have done the job very well. So there is no need to unnecessarily put so many things in the essay. It's like cooking. If you put too much of spice and too much of material, it spoils the taste. Same happens with your essay. So if you try to put everything, all the points of the world, you will end up writing a very, very poor essay. Okay? So these three are the hallmarks of a good essay: that you have stuck to the topic, that you have a proper structure. What do I mean by proper structure? There is an introduction, there is some sort of, main discussion. If your essay does not talk about the contribution of literature and art as compared to science, you have actually not written the essay at all. You have just discussed what is literature, what is art, what is science, this and that. But the contribution aspect has not at all been discussed in the passage. So I would say that though this essay is written well, the answer of the core topic has not even come in the essay, because much of the time has been spent in discussing what is art, what is literature, and what is science. Their contributions have completely been left out by the writer. Are you getting my point? So stick to the topic. Proper structure. Proper structure means what? Have an intro where you explain the topic or what you understand by the topic. Then you have the body. The body of the essay is the main bulk of the essay. So if 15% comes here and the conclusion part is 15%, then 30% is your body. The bulk of the discussion will happen here. So you talk about how literature and art, and what do you mean by literature and art as compared to science? What do they broadly contribute? Then you go to the body, you give lots of examples. Then towards the conclusion, you can say that for a healthy development of civilization and society, it is very important that both art and science go hand in hand, right? The contribution of science definitely will make us a better human being, a more rational human being, a more logical human being. But the literature and art, they serve the non-irrational part of human mind. And that's the reason why creativity comes out, and all the imaginative art should be encouraged, because all the emotional ups and downs in life can be countered through these things. And you can give examples of the importance of how art make you think, they make you ponder about human life in general and all those things. So the idea is that the conclusion can take 15-10% of your part. The introduction can take 15-10%, and the body should take bulk of the essay. So 15-15, and the rest is 70% will come here. This is structure. And completeness, what I mean by completeness, it's not that you have only discussed art and literature as to what they mean, and you haven't discussed their contribution because time was not there with you. You have taken 25 minutes to simply explain what you mean by them, and then time got over. So please understand, completeness, you will get marks for completeness. Okay, so this is something about the structure part with the broader aspect of it. And how should you execute it? 5 minutes to thinking and 25 minutes to writing. And while writing, 5 minutes you should give to introduction, 5 minutes to conclusion, and almost you can say 15 minutes to the body of the essay. The body of the essay can be broken down into many paragraphs, not necessarily that the body has to be one paragraph only. For instance, if we talk about social media can be defined. Its purpose can be mentioned in the first paragraph. The second paragraph, you can talk about the historical genesis of social media, how it was born, what made it possible, the different platforms of social media. Then in the next paragraph, you can talk about how social media has impacted our life. Positively, you can mention lots of things. Negatively, you can mention lots of things. And then towards the end, you can take a stand saying that social media might be a very, very good tool, but you have to be cautious with its use and and the way it affects you. I know people should be educated about how to use social media. It's too much of exposure to social media can be so and so. So advantages, disadvantages, conclusion, introduction at the start. Language is simple and you get almost good marks for that. Okay, so this is something that I have mentioned about how to go ahead with essay writing overall. Now coming to the other aspects, and the other aspect is primarily what I call as writing style. What should you focus on when it comes to writing style? Maybe grammar, maybe vocabulary, and the most important of all is content. Many of you might wonder that if my writing style, which is grammar and vocabulary, is very poor, if I don't have the content, what should I do? Well, the problem is if content is not there, it can be a big problem because the content is not there. What will you do in those 20 minutes, 25 minutes? And secondly, if your vocabulary is very poor, what will happen? You will not find the right word, the right phrase will not strike you. You might take too many words to express the idea where one word could have done the job. Grammar is not up to the mark because you end up confusing with the tenses. Now, see, these problems will definitely be there, and the only solution to this problem is simplicity. All of you, I always say, people, that the panelists who are going to check your essay, see, you can use the right word, but if you think that vocabulary is an obstacle, I would say that it can be best countered by keeping things simple. And the first important aspect of simplicity is very, very keep your sentences short. I always repeat this, keep your sentences short unless you have the art of writing long sentences. If you keep your sentences short, more often than not, you would end up writing grammatically correct sentences. So if you look at parajumbles, I had told you, put the subject, put the verb, put the object, or you put the subject complement, and your sentence is done. Right? Secondly, clarity. Clarity means speak about the point. There is no need to build too much of background. The habit of building background is a very, very bad habit, particularly with this Indian mentality. They दुनिया भर का background है. The story comes and then the answer comes at the very end. Don't make that mistake. Okay, for example, if you look at this essay here, the importance and contribution of literature. So I'm going to read this first paragraph to you. And I will tell you the flaws that I have found here. In fact, I have stated the flaws. Now, science is considered as subject of looking at things objectively and seeking the reason behind their behavior. Now, when I look at this sentence, I feel this is too long. I mean, why should you make it so long? Right? According to me, it can be very simple. Science is a subject that encourages you to look at things objectively and logically. So that sentence could have been simplified further. But scientific activities always happen in context. The scientific ideas are often always shaped by the societal forces. So now I have made some changes here. You have put always. I have said no, don't use always. Often saved. Don't put the word article the because article the is not required. Article the means you're talking about something specific. So there is no need. So all these are minor mistakes. No problem. If you put the article the, if you put the word always, it's not that you will be not given marks. But the flaw comes here. If you look at this thing here, I will show you the flaw. Now, the author says that scientific activities always happen in context. Scientific ideas are often shaped by societal forces. For example, Galileo was punished for discovering that Earth revolves around the sun. Now, when you say that scientific ideas are shaped by societal forces, you say that Galileo was punished. So this example is not the proper example of what you have asserted in the earlier sentence. Instead, when you say that scientific ideas are shaped by societal forces, you should have given an example in which a scientific idea was shaped by societal forces. Here you say that Galileo was punished for discovering that Earth revolves around the sun. So the scientific idea has been undermined rather than shaped. So rather than using that, scientific ideas are often often shaped or undermined by society or societal forces. Then this example would have made sense because here the example of undermining has come because Galileo had a scientific idea or a scientific observation and he was punished for discovering that the earth revolves around the sun because it contradicted the societal idea of geocentric world. So there has to be some sort of clarity about what you are putting in the sentences. Research on human cloning is still banned in several countries around the world because it goes against the religious idea that life and death is God's department. Therefore, it becomes imperative to understand and study how forces work and what are their and what is their impact. You know, because what is a singular idea? It is in this context that art and literature provide a useful framework to analyze these forces. Now, the point is, okay, not very convincing because you have said that somewhere or the other science is not fit in, so art and literature comes, maybe more or less. But yes, I would say that this needs lots and lots of improvement. And one of the reasons why this thing has become tough because the topic is very tough. So what you should have done, you should have created a column here, a working column. We used to do that in school कि working column बना लो इसको. Working column का मतलब क्या है? Before you start writing, you would say, okay, the importance and contribution of literature and art. So literature and art may be non-serious, correct? Forms of art. Forms of art could be many. Literature, we all know. Literature can be a tragedy, a comedy, but poetry also literature. Arts can be what? Painting, sculpture, films, movies, drama, theater, all these are art forms. What do? They entertain us. They make us sad. They make us happy. They deal with the irrational aspects of human mind. Had this come in the first paragraph, I would have been very happy. Science, on the other hand, deals with the rational and the logical aspects of human mind. I don't know, I don't have the right word with me because I'm not a sociologist where I start getting the right word from the dictionary. But if I say that it deals with the irrational aspects of the human mind, I think that explains things in itself. And when you say that science deals with the rational aspects of the human mind, I think that also explains very much what is going on. So don't be bent too much on finding the right word. Sometimes because you don't come from that background, the right word may not come. But the grammatical structure and the process of writing, clarity has to be always there. Okay. I will take the second paragraph now. What the writer has done here, I will scroll down. And in the second paragraph, he says, art and literature provide powerful medium to look at the world through different perspectives. I agree. For example, a person born in prosperous and wealthy family can never know what it is like to be born and brought up in a war-torn country. So what happens here is that art and literature provide a powerful medium to look at the world through many perspectives. You know? But he can read about these experiences through autobiographical books and movies. It helps nurture the feeling of empathy. This is precisely, I feel, the second paragraph that he has written is little much better than the first paragraph because here he has said what exactly art and literature contribute and what he says that someone who is born in a prosperous, wealthy family can never know what it is like to be born and brought up in a war-torn country. But he can read about these experiences through autobiographical books. It helps nurture the feeling of empathy. This is what I wanted in humans. This is what art does. It creates in you a feeling of empathy, which becomes crucial in understanding and helping each other in society. The world is diverse. each with its own. So when you say diverse and divided into different societies, I don't like this phrase because as if your society, my society, as if we are living in different. See, human society is human society. You can say different culture, different communities, different, but the world is diverse, each with its own set of traditions. Conflict arises when neither side is willing to understand each, and it is in this sense empathy becomes a crucial factor. So, okay, when you put the point of empathy, don't need to unnecessarily elaborate on it too much. You can just bring in some other factor that art and literature contributes. So, harping on the same idea and lengthening it too much is also not a great job. You have talked about empathy. You can also talk about art and literature make us laugh, make us sad, uh, tragic things. When you read a tragedy or watch a tragedy, you also develop empathy and sympathy for people. So it makes you a better human being. चलो आगे बढ़ जाते हैं. ठीक है. Scientific temperament flourishes when people from diverse backgrounds and societies come together as team and start contributing towards a common goal. People can work together only when they understand and respect each other. For example, wearing red thread on the hand is considered auspicious in India, but Westerners may somehow I feel that scientific temperament you have talked about, but what happens is the author definitely has not asked us to say how science contributes. The importance and contribution of literature and arts to society as compared to science. So this should be dealt with cursorily. In the sense, just give a small space to to what science contributes to society. But 70% of the discussion has to happen on how art and literature contribute to society. So many a time what happens is we misunderstand the topic. We start discussing what science has given to society and we elaborate on that too much. Whereas the contribution of literature and art is given a very, very small space in the entire essay. So if you look at the last paragraph here, the author has written that scientific temperament flourishes when people from diverse. No, scientific temperament से क्या होता है, कैसा होता है, खत्म हो गया. So you have talked about science in the last paragraph. In the opening paragraph, you have just mentioned something. So I would say it's a very uh, weak essay. Because I know that many of you would have difficulty in writing this kind of a thing, but always look forward to simplicity. Just make things very simple, saying that in your life, how does art and literature contribute the non-serious aspects of life. In life, not everything is always logical. There are lots of things which we find mysterious, which which appeal to the emotion, to the creative aspects of human personality, and that is where art comes. It helps you, you know, de-stress yourself. It helps you relax. It many a time it might even give you spiritual upliftment. For example, if you read all those religious texts which are written in poetic form, they have this poetic way of in the poetic way in which they have been written. Listening to them also gives you a sense of spiritual upliftment which science alone cannot give. So if you mention these points in a very structured way, I think it would end up in a very good essay. So just don't try to make things complicated. Whenever you get an essay, you just look at it from your own life's perspective. Why do you watch a movie? Movie is an art after all. Or why do you read a good novel? Or why do you like sense of humor? Or why do you like people who have good sense of humor? Why do you like comedy so much? Because when you laugh, you forget about the seriousness of life for a while. So all these things are part of art and literature. They make you laugh, they make you sing, they make you joyous. So logic is one aspect of human mind, but there are so many other aspects which need to be taken care of. And art and literature precisely provide you that. Are we clear, everyone? Yes or no? So what do you get from it? Simplicity is what is going to give you marks. Even if you don't find the right word, you can use a longer phrase, no problem. But don't use a phrase which is absolutely absurd in the sense that the phrase is awkward in its wording and it does not put things very clearly. So in this particular essay, the problem is not that the author has used very poor language. More or less, the language is fine with me, but the core content has not found place in the essay. the core content which I was expecting. The only part which I can say or I can praise to some extent is the part which has come here, that art helps you to broaden your horizon. It nurtures in you a feeling of sympathy, which is very important when it comes to understanding each other. This is definitely what art and literature can do. That's it. So, in the entire essay, these few sentences are the ones that have the core content, whereas the others either are not in the right shape or they have little gone off track. Similarly, there is one more essay here. You all can see it, correct? Or should I change the color of the essay? Ek minute. Can you all read it, people, or should I change the color? Is it better? Or should I make it bold? Ab chalega? Is this fine? है ना?
Yes, sir.
It's fine, right? So now again, let's read it. The essay says, peace is utopian, it can never exist. This is the essay. So what is the first thing that you should do? If I were a writer, I would say peace is utopian, it can never exist. Now, you might ask me, so do I need to criticize this or do I need to support this? Usually, when this kind of essay comes, you have been given the liberty to either support it or criticize it, or you can do both the things simultaneously. Giving one paragraph to support and the next paragraph to slightly criticize, not completely criticize, because that is not possible. Uh, if you ask me that which is going to get you more marks, supporting or criticizing, it all depends upon how many points you have for supporting or for criticizing. Suppose if someone tells me that, someone suppose tells me that please write an essay that human beings are selfish creatures. I would find more points in support of that point, of that topic. Human beings are selfish creatures. If you give me that essay, there are many points which I can write in support of the topic. But if you tell me that, can you write beautifully against the topic? That would make things difficult for me. I'll have to put more effort to find points that are against the topic. So don't simply go by positive, negative. You just go by your common sense. Peace is utopian. Utopian का मतलब क्या होता है? Peace is something that is actually there in novels and movies. In reality, it is not possible. So I feel that yes, this is very much a true statement because peace is little difficult. It can never exist. Why? So when I am about to write my essay and I have been given 30 minutes, I will create a column here and I will say, okay, let me think of all the possible points that can come here. Why peace is utopian and why it can never exist. Point number one, animal nature of human beings. Animal nature, animal instincts, inherent aggression that is there in us because we are animals. This I will definitely cover as one of the primary reasons why human beings can never be at peace. This is something which is there inherent in us because we are animals. The second point is what? Greed, hatred. These two are the cultural things that have been ingrained in us, and that also makes uh, peace very difficult, right? And then you can say, okay, what else can I write? Animal nature, animal instinct, inherent aggression that we are born with, greed and hatred that you know uh, that we see all around us. That is also possible. Uh, then you can say society or mob psychology. What is mob psychology? When people come in many numbers, tend to disperse in groups. So society could also be a factor. Now I try to collect more points, but I'm not finding the points. So what I would do, okay, I'm going to elaborate that pieces, it can never exist. Uh, can I say it can never exist, or is there a possibility of it that we can put our effort to create a peaceful society? We can create a peaceful society by following the teachings of Lord Buddha or by following the teachings of Jesus Christ. We can do meditation. we can definitely become more and more human, less and less animal. So it can never exist. Can I say it's an extreme statement? I do agree with it, but I feel that it can never. I mean, it is difficult to it is difficult for it to exist. Yes, but it can never exist in little extreme. So towards the conclusion, I would write some of the points that gives us a ray of hope. So now the structure is ready. In the first paragraph, I would say that peace is utopian primarily because of the inherent animal nature of human beings. We are born as animals, and long years of evolution have brought us out of the animal nature, but still, unconsciously, deep within, we have those aggressive instincts which make peace very difficult. And on top of that, you have certain aspects in your upbringing, which is greed, hatred, dislike. All these factors also contribute in making people restless. For example, whenever you are short of points, start giving example. For example, when you are greedy, you develop jealousy, you want to uh, get hold of someone's possession. It is not true only at the individual level, but also at the level of countries. That if one country is fighting with the other country because this country wants the territorial possession of some other country, the First World War, the Second World War, all these violent phases of human history, they were what was the reason behind these violent phases? Greed and hatred was the only reason. Greed to possess more territory and hatred for a certain ethnic group. So what I have done in the second paragraph, I have put lots and lots of examples to demonstrate how greed and hatred have resulted in world wars. And secondly, the materialistic outlook towards life is only going to make us hate each other more. So, though for a while we come in a group saying good things to each other, but deep within we have that sense of inferiority complex. We have that sense that we are not materially well off. And that is also one of the reasons why people harbor ill will towards others. So, greed and hatred are two basic important factors that contribute to a lack of peace in society. And much of it is born because of materialistic desires of human beings. But as far as the point of peace never existing is concerned, I think that is too far fetched because there have been phases in human history where peace has been created. For example, if you look at the era of Gautam Buddha or Jesus Christ or the teachings, many people have become good. They have by doing meditation, by yoga, uh, uh, by practicing certain things, they have become better human beings. So if one human being can become better, then why can't we make all human beings better? So we can definitely put in efforts to make society more and more peaceful. And those methods could be encouraging people to meditate, to do, you can just put all those things. And then towards the end, you can say that yes, peace is definitely an utopian idea. But to say that it can never exist would be an exaggeration because human beings are evolving. And in these many years of evolution, we have left back our animal nature behind. And we hope that in the coming centuries, we would be able to completely leave our animal nature behind and create a peaceful society. A little positive note towards the end. More or less, job is done. So, stick to the topic. Now, I will tell you what is the problem in this essay. The author starts. He says, the world is the reflection of society we humans create. Since birth, we are prepared for competition and not cooperation. This drive for competition results in hierarchical society where someone will be at the top and others will be at the bottom. The issue with hierarchical society is that peace is maintained superficially. What perpetuates conflict is the sense of inequality, which implicitly comes embedded in the hierarchical society. This sense of inequality gives rise to power struggle. The essay is very much written in a nice and lucid manner. There is nothing wrong with it. But I feel that it could be still more on target. That peace is utopian for what reasons? Right. And then he says, so the writing style in this essay is a little better than the earlier essay. Because in the earlier essay, the author did not have any point. So he just got confused somewhere in between and he just put in the sentences just for the sake of getting marks. Here in this essay, he's more in control because he understands the topic better. And therefore, the points that have come, though are little slightly tangential, but still they make sense in the context. So if you ask me to rate this over the other, I would say this is a better essay because of the content being available to the writer. And then he has gone ahead too much in talking about hierarchy and how it leads to power struggle and this and that. Too much of description. When you are given only 400 words, you need to put everything in perspective. So there has to be diversity. Why is peace utopian? Animal nature, aggressive instinct, greed, hatred, materialistic outlook. I want these words, the feeling that you are not well off and the other guy is well off. All these things, when they come together, they create poison in human beings. And each one wants to have more and more. Are you getting my point, people? Is everyone with this? So, whenever you're writing, one thing you have to keep in mind is try to collect variety of points. The greater the variety, the more the marks you will get. Now, you might ask me, sir, what if I don't have variety? No problem. If you don't have variety, stick to a few things and write them better. But if you have variety, it is even better. So when you try to write essays, it is good that you give thought to it. Because once you collect the points, writing will become easier and the diversity will automatically come. Why? Because you have given thought to the essay. Are we clear, everyone, people? Yes or no? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? तो देखो यार क्या होता है कि आई वांटेड टू कीप अ वेरी शॉर्ट सेशन. आई नो दैट दिस इज very much theoretical, but half an hour I can, analyze two essays. I may not analyze the entire essay, but if I do paragraphs of it, I think you would all be still having a lot to learn. Two things very important. Write a lot. Be to the point, be precise, be clear. Don't try to put too much of vocabulary, too much of jargons, not required. As long as I understand, I'm happy. I know that you're not a philosopher or a sociologist who can put the right vocabulary. It's not always there. Okay. So now you all should take the initiative, and if possible, we can have this kind of a half an hour session every alternate day, where I will give you essay in the morning. Whosoever gives me the essay first, that person's essay would be taken publicly, and I would put the recording so that you also have to learn. But the best way to learn writing is to write. You cannot watch others, read others, and become a good writer yourself. It's just not possible. Are we clear, people? So I will try to give you essay topics. You can write them. I may not be able to assess all of these, but the fact that you are writing is going to make you better. I will give you the topics. Okay, people? I'm a little in a hurry right now, but I will ensure that I give you a list of topics. You do some research on those topics and then you write. Because without doing any research, you can't put the points. As you do the research, the point goes into your subconscious mind. When you write, all those points come and you write a better essay. As you write more and more, you become better and better. Are we clear, everyone? Yes or no? ठीक है? So I will just portal में भी है, but I will give you separate more with respect to contemporary ones rather than the abstract ones. ठीक है? So just hold on for a while. आधे घंटे का थोड़ा सा heated session था, but that's all. ठीक है? I will upload this for free on YouTube. You all can go. ठीक है? चलो people. I will drop the essay list on the group itself.